Aynı çatı altında buluşmak için ortak bir amacımız var. Evrenin temelini oluşturan, dünyayı yaşanır kılan doğal taşın binlerce yıllık serüveninin bir parçası olmak. Bizi bir araya getiren doğaya ve doğal taşa olan bağlılığımız. Her biri tıpkı parmak izi gibi benzersiz ve çeşitli. Taşın yaşayan bir ruhu var. Yıllara meydan okuyan. Ortak bir bağ ile bağlıyız, birleşiyoruz. World Stone Summit, doğal taşın değerini ve çeşitliliğini anlatmak için dünyayı bir araya getiriyor. Ortak bir hareketle doğal taşın başta mimaride olmak üzere yaşamın her alanında kullanımını arttırmak ve tanıtımını yapmak başlıca görevimiz. Taşa emek verenler, dünya çapında bir farkındalık yaratmak için 26 Ağustos'ta World Stone Summit'te buluşuyor.
Dear friends, hello. Welcome to this evening's webinar. India, Poland, Tunisia. Also, there is at least 5 hours of time difference between Tunisia and India. So today's webinar, this is a preliminary meeting where we will discuss some preliminary topics towards the World Stone Summit, which will be held on August 26th. So we will be forming the agenda for this upcoming event. In the morning session, there was Iran, Turkey, and India. We have listened to speakers from these countries, and we've discussed the calendar for exhibitions and fairs. And Mohsin Buturi, this actually topic is important because they want to hold a event in Tunisia. I don't know if Mohsin Buturi was able to follow the morning session. Were you able to attend or watch the morning session today? Yes, Mohsin Buturi, were you able to follow this morning session for today, where we discussed calendar-related issues about trades? Can you hear me, Mr. Buturi? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Were you able to follow this session, morning session? Were you able to attend? This was actually important for Tunisia as well, because Tunisia is actually planning a event for Kasrin. So you could actually watch it from YouTube as well, because it was related with calendars. Türkçe. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
I oglądasz to? Bo to jakaś straszna paduwa organizacyjna, nie?
Nie wiem, bo ja teraz jestem w pracy, więc teraz nie mam opcji, żeby włączyć webinara.
A, no to
A
nic.
co się dzieje?
Nie, nic, bo tutaj coś tam nie idzie. Nie no, coś tam próbują tłumaczyć, coś robią, ale jak nie oglądasz, to dobra, no. Dobra, na razie. Hej.
Mr. Boturi is changing his settings. We're waiting for him. Can you hear me? Mukul Rasturi, welcome. Can I take your presentation? Are you going to make a speech or are you going to share your screen?
I'll share my screen.
Okay, then can you please start?
Yeah, sure, sure.
No. Give not. Can you give permission for Miss? Can you give permission for the speaker to share his presentation? Okay, now can you please proceed with sharing your screen?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Good evening to all my fellow panelists and
Evet, tüm panel katılımcılarına iyi akşamlar demek istiyorum.
good evening to all the viewers who are watching this program from all across the world. I am Mukul Rastogi and I am Chief Executive Officer, Center for Development of Stones, India. The topic of my presentation is natural stones, threats and precautions. As far as the threats are concerned, there are two types of threats: the threats from competitive products and environmental threats. So any material like ceramic or vitrified tiles or wood, etc., which can replace usage of stones is a potential threat to natural stones. In addition to competitive products, we have the threat from environmental issues also. Stones, like all other material being used in construction purpose, they require some maintenance and care, without which it is likely to deteriorate with time. Some undesirable changes are likely to develop in them after exposure for a longer period of time to varying climate conditions, temperatures, water, chemical. There may be issues related to bacteria and algae, etc., which results in poor aesthetics of stones, and that affects strength and qualities of stones. So now, in the first part of my presentation, I am talking about threats from competitive products. Why natural stone is under a threat? So the main reasons behind this are, my presentation is basically based in the Indian context. So the main reasons behind this are the aggressive marketing by our competitors, lack of availability of stones uniformly across geographies, lack of awareness amongst user fraternity, non-availability of ready-to-fix material and time-consuming laying and cladding processes, fast-changing technologies in competitive products, shortage of expert installation and maintenance manpower. So these are some of the reasons like why we are facing competition from competitive products. I'm taking each and every point one by one. So lack of marketing efforts. The digital marketing tools are not being used extensively by majority of Indian companies for marketing their products. The print, electronic, and social media platforms, which have very high penetration amongst the users, are not effectively being used. The industry is lagging behind in building global brands, which can actually help in winning trust of users. And the marketing budget is also minuscule in comparison to the budget of companies which are producing man-made material. And this results in consumer getting attracted to alternate products. Lack of availability of stones uniformly across geographies is another very important aspect of this threat. Basically, in a country like India, which is a very big country, it is extremely difficult to have all type of stones everywhere. So as you probably know, India is a hub of variety of natural stones which are spread all across the country. Every stone producing state has its own unique varieties having different colors, textures, and hues. Majority of stone varieties are readily available in the local cluster to which they belong, but very few reaches all across the country. So as I said, like material which is available in northern part of India may not be available easily in southern India, and vice versa. So that is another aspect. Lack of awareness amongst the user fraternity. Architects are the main users of stones, and they are the key user fraternity in selection of any kind of construction material, specifically stones. And since most of them are still not aware about the quality and different varieties of natural stones, how they can be applied, so it is extremely difficult for them to recommend right type of stone for a particular application. We are taking a lead in this matter, and we are trying our best to pass on the information to architects as well as other users also. So Center for Development of Stones, through its unique and a regular awareness program, which is known as Architects Visit to Stone Clusters, is hosting architects from across the country, and we arrange their visit to various stone clusters and processing units so that they can acquaint themselves with diverse varieties available in the state. In addition to this, the awareness is also being done through various publications of CDOS. But for a normal user, generally it is extremely difficult to select a appropriate variety of stone which is suitable for our intended purpose, and more or less their choice is based on the aesthetics of a stone rather than the physico-mechanical properties. The installation process is also time consuming, and this forces the general user to avoid natural stones. Low penetration in the retail market. It is basically, this slide is an extension of the availability of stones across the geographies. So unlike vitrified ceramic tiles, different varieties of natural stones are not easily available in local or consumer market or retail market. Therefore, the choice for a consumer is limited to what is available locally. Low availability of ready-to-fix material. This is again a very important aspect. This is the reason why we are facing many problems as far as competition with competitive products is concerned. So in order to compete with the man-made products, more emphasis is required to provide ready-to-fix material to the consumers. Only few units are providing ready-made solutions, which results in a gap between demand and supply. In India, stone, especially marble, is available in unpolished slabs of different sizes. And this poses a problem for a consumer as regards its installation and polishing. This also creates problem relating to disposal of trimming waste as well as slurry generated at sites. And in addition to this, the polish or sheen also gets compromised as the polish in factory is much better. However, the granites are available in polished finish, and they can be used directly. Shortage of expert installation and maintenance manpower is another aspect. So the man-made material are very easy to install and maintain. Its installation is also less time consuming. On the other hand, the stone installation and maintenance is quite technical, and only an expert can do justice as far as the beauty of a stone is concerned, because he has to consider various pattern in stone while laying the stone, as well as a very good person who is efficient can also hide the small defects in the stones. And there is a dearth of stone installation and maintenance experts in the country. So that is another aspect. Why natural stone should be preferred above man-made material? All of us are trying our level best to promote natural stones. So this slide is dedicated to increasing use of natural stones. The natural stone should be preferred over any kind of man-made material. It has the following qualities. Natural stones are recyclable. It is green building material and cost effective, long lasting, and maintenance cost is also low. Flexibility of sizes and shapes. Natural stones are durable. Possibilities for composite products can be combined with steel and other materials. And natural stones are the most suitable options when we are laying or putting a stone in outdoors, be it flooring or be it cladding. And it can endure all the seasons as well as natural elements including rain, sunlight, wind, dirt, etc. with minimum maintenance and care. So what we need to make natural stone the most preferred material? Focus on marketing of natural stones and use of social media platforms extensively for the purpose. Maintaining high quality of natural stones. Educational webinars, seminars to bring awareness amongst the user community. Educational visits to stone-rich clusters to connect user community directly with the producers. Providing common nomenclature for similar type of stones, increasing availability of ready-to-fix material. Courses need to be introduced on natural stone as a subject in colleges, specifically the architectural colleges. Impart training to ensure availability of laying, installation, and maintenance experts. And emphasis on scientific installation of material, defect detection, as well as suitable treatment of stones before installation. The other part of my presentation relates to the environmental threats. I am going through it a bit hurriedly. The environmental threat to stone, especially if used outdoors, may be either physical or chemical, or it may be both in nature. The reasons or the causes of environmental threat are frost action and UV radiation, temperature effect, humidity, heavy rains, water leaching, dirt accumulation, CO2 and SO2 effect and carbonation, staining and rust, chlorides or salt spray in coastal areas, chemical reaction, air pollution and acid rains, bacterial or algae formation, and graffiti. The frost action is very common in cold, humid climates. Basically, the nature of a stone is very porous, and when it absorbs moisture from the atmosphere quite easily. So in winters, the water within the pores freezes and expands, extending the tensile strength from within. So this is a very slow and steady process. And this is known as frost action, which ultimately results in splitting or chipping or weathering of stones. Temperature change is again an issue because in areas which are directly having a lot of sunlight or UV radiations, they have this type of problem. So stones, like all other materials, they expand on heating and contract on cooling. Its coefficient of expansion is, of course, negligible while considering on short-term basis, but over a period of time, when the stones are made from different minerals, they are having different expansion and contraction coefficients. So some minor stresses do develop within the stones, and this is the reason why there may be some deformity in stones. The surface of stones starts getting affected insignificantly in the beginning. However, if it is in the sun for a prolonged period of time, then there are chances of issues or problems. Humidity is the major problem, and humidity from backside of a stones is a big challenge, and it is generally the reason for discoloration, for rust, for formation of algae and moss on the stone surface and joints. So it is always advisable to use coating on the chemicals by chemical sealers on the backside of stone surface before installation. In fact, I would suggest, like, except the surface which is visible, all 5 surfaces need to be chemically treated properly. Wind action is another threat. Basically, if the material is loosely bound, then that particles may get rid of by the action of wind, and therefore it also creates a lot of problem. Staining, rust, and algae formation. All natural stones have interconnected capillary channels which permits penetration by liquid and gases. Due to porous nature of some stones, it allows water and oil to seep in, which results in discoloration, stains, rust, moss, and efflorescence, as well as dirt accumulation. And different chemical sealers provide protection by creating a barrier between the surface and the contaminants, and thereby it provides a very good stain resistance, and it prolongs the life of a stone also. There are chemical causes. CO2, SO2, and other obnoxious gases are very harmful as far as the stones are concerned, because they support acid rain, and it results in deterioration of stone surfaces. Now, as far as precautions are concerned, it is quite possible to protect the stone from these environmental threats by adopting one or more of the following methods: careful and judicial selection of stones according to their intended application, coupled with physico-mechanical properties, careful construction, and application of protective chemicals. I'm also taking all these points one by one. A careful selection of a particular stone is extremely important when we are going for using stone in construction purpose. While selecting stones for a given application, a general assessment about the weathering resistance of the stone can be formed from its usage in existing buildings. If a stone has shown too much deterioration at some places, then it is likely that it may deteriorate in similar manner when used in a new building. So it is an indicator, like, we should not use such type of stones. Highly porous stones should be avoided in outdoors. As far as flooring is concerned, which is subject to heavy foot traffic, then stones must have high resistance to abrasion. For load-bearing surfaces, compressive strength gives a very good indication, and we should consider the physico-mechanical properties of all type of stones before installation. Similarly, if a stone is to be used in already established or proposed industrial town, then its composition must be given due consideration, whether it may be likely to deteriorate fast, especially the exposed parts. So these are some of the careful construction is another aspect. While constructing a building, we should take care of various parameters, like stones of proper size and shape should be used. Then use of different stones in alternative layer or even in same layer should be avoided. So homogeneity must be considered. It is always recommended to chemically seal back surface of stones, as I have already discussed with you. Then application of protective chemicals. This is perhaps the most important part. When a stone has already been used and there is a risk of its deterioration because of environmental conditions, then preventive measures may be taken by applying some suitable impregnators and sealers on it. So protective chemicals may be solvent-based or it may be water-based solution, which when applied on a stone surface, it forms a layer and it avoids the direct attack of some deteriorating elements. A really effective preservative must be easily applicable. It must be easily penetratable, unleachable, economical, as well as the preservative or chemical must not change the nature or appearance of the stone, and as well as it must not produce bad smell. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much for your patience hearing. In case you have any question, then you can ask me, or we can take up the question answer at a later stage also. Thank you so much.
Mr. Rastogi, you have made a very comprehensive presentation. It was very clear and comprehensive. Some of these aspects we had discussed in our meeting in 2019. What I would like to ask is, in India, are you providing certain trainings in this field? Training to train experts in this field?
Basic training programs are there, but definitely the training can be imparted to the persons. There are few institutions which are imparting training to masons as well as those who are in the installation and laying of material. But definitely there is a need for much bigger intervention as far as training is concerned. Thank you.
The second aspect is informing the consumers. Do you have any efforts to give information to the consumers, to the customers, about the advantages of natural stone over man-made stone, especially for human health?
As I said, as far as architects are concerned, we are definitely doing many initiatives, many programs for them. The Architect Visit Program is one such initiative wherein we are inviting architects all across the country, and we are taking them to quarries, to mining areas as well as processing units, so that they can appreciate the beauty of stones, the different varieties available in India. So, but as far as a general consumer is concerned, it is extremely difficult to reach everyone. Though we have our website which provides detailed information on many aspects.
And lastly, I have a contribution. In COVID setting, the carbonated stone, the meeting of carbonated stone with water makes the pH 8-9, and COVID-19 cannot survive in such an environment, such a pH environment.
Frankly speaking, I am not aware of this, as this is not my field. I am not very sure whether the COVID or the coronavirus will survive in the pH range of 8 or 9 or not. My only humble request and prayer is that all of us, all across the world, we are facing this pandemic, and we just pray to God that this should be over as early as possible. That's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rastogi. Do we have any questions from other participants? Mr. Duda, do you have any questions for Mr. Rastogi? We can have them now.
Yes, I would like to have a question to you regarding we know marble from India, we know granite from India, but due to the massive developing of quartzite from Brazil, do you have a stone in India like quartzite, like type of cristallo, translucent quartzite? Because I have seen already the picture from India. How do you have a quarry like that, or you developing to open the quarry, or what is your general solution to how you gonna fight with this kind of markets like Brazil? Because the Brazilian stone is developing so fast, but in Poland, the Indian stones is stable, I would say going minus. So what is your idea about that?
Good evening, Mr. Duda. Basically, as you probably know, India is a hub of almost 400, 500 varieties of dimensional stones. We are having almost 200 type of granites, 100 types of marble. In addition to that, we have flaggy limestone, which is very commonly known as Kota stone, which is a limestone. We have varieties of slates and sandstone. In addition to this, we have many varieties of quartzite as well. So as far as your specific query is concerned, you kindly share that with me one-to-one, and then we will definitely try to find out a suitable stone as per your requirements.
Thank you very much. We go one by one then.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bektaş, do you have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Duda. That was enough for me. That was very comprehensive. Thank you, Mr. Rastogi. So on the 29th of August, we would like to meet you in World Stone Summit. Mr. Rastogi, do you have any suggestions as an agenda, as a topic for agenda?
I have gone through this various topics of your summit, and I think you have probably covered all the aspects. In the morning session, my friend Mr. Halajian had mentioned about the utilization of waste and slurry. So that is a very important aspect as far as stone industry is concerned, and in fact, we are doing a lot of work as far as utilization of stone waste and slurry is concerned. And very recently, we had a workshop on this, wherein various experts from our agencies as well as the leading engineering colleges had participated in that. CDOS had a research chair also at the Malviya National Institute of Technology for working on usage of gainful utilization of stone waste and slurry. So you can definitely add that aspect or topic in the forthcoming Congress. Thank you.
I cannot hear Mr. Faruk Çalapkulu because his mic is off. His microphone is off. I hope somebody will remind him. Mohsen Baturi will be connecting soon. Yes, Mohsen Baturi has already connected. In Tunisia, there is an EU project regarding waste and slurry, stone waste and slurry, and there are ongoing projects in Turkey. We're including this in our agenda, and in the workshop that will be held on the 26th of August, we will deal with this, especially utilization of marble waste. We want to have a special session on this topic, and in the morning session, we also talked about this. Thank you, Mr. Rastogi.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
If there are no other questions, I would like to give the floor to Mr. İsmet Bektaş. And Mr. İsmet Bektaş will be talking about the pandemic situation. As I just mentioned, the coronavirus has really put us in a very important struggle and threatened the natural stone market. However, in the first 6 months of 2020, the situation is promising. We see an increase in the market, and Mr. Bektaş will be talking about the natural stone sector in the pandemic situation and solutions for the current situation. However, Mr. Bektaş is not connected at the moment, so we're waiting for him. Mr. Duda, can I give the floor to you while waiting to
Yes,
our
of course.
friends connect? Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course.
Will you make a presentation? Do you have to share your screen? Do you need to share your screen?
No. I will talk directly to you. So, no presentation.
So we're listening to you. The floor is yours, Mr. Duda.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening to everyone.
Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Herkese iyi akşamlar.
So I will talk general, a little bit general, no more precise, like my colleague from India.
Genel noktalardan bahsedeceğim ben. Hindistan'dan gelen arkadaşım gibi çok fazla detaya girmeyeceğim. Genel bir konuşma olacak.
I will bring you a little bit Poland, about stone business in Poland, and we go to little details about threats about stone. So, Poland is a 37 million country, people, and we have a growing stone business from about 30 years. Before that, we had, as you know, we had communists, so the stone business wasn't growing too much. And from that time, our business is growing constantly. So, are you gonna translate directly, or I can carry on? So
you can carry on. You don't need to wait, Mr. Duda. You can carry on.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, stone business in Poland is growing from about 30 years constantly. We have some stones in Poland, which is a basic gray white granite. In South Poland, we have some sandstone as well. But still, most of the stone we import from over the world. So, to this time, main imports to Poland are from India, as you know probably, from India, from European countries as Spain and Portugal, Italy. Recently, a lot growing import is from Brazil. Of course, in Europe and in Norway. And in the world as well as China. China to this time were importing mostly the very cheap stone. Cheap stone means the basic stone we use for the pavings, we use for the basic flooring. So due to the price, the Chinese were exporting a lot of stones to us. And recently, things are changed, not only regarding the COVID. The main problem we have in Poland is a rise of cost of transportation. So the containers raise like 3, 4, 5 times, and like now to import cheap stone from China is just not worth it, because the cost is much bigger than the cost of the stone. And at the same time, the cost of transportation from India as well raise very much, from Brazil. So what's happened now in Poland? Our factories, they start bringing more stone from Europe. So like Spain and Portugal, which they have quite a lot of granites and marbles and some sandstone, limestone as well. And regarding the threats to the stone, the main problem in Poland, we have the ceramic. That's the problem. To this time, like before 7, 8 years ago, there wasn't problem, because ceramic has the field of cell, and stone is a different clients. But the moment when the big size of ceramic came to Poland, like Laminam or another brand, another labels, they start going to the direct competition with stone. So to inform you how, as a federation, how we solve this problem, we brought directly cutting and producing of ceramics into the stone business. So from 7 years, the stone people actually are cutting, installing, and fitting the ceramics. That's why I think we solved this as one of the first country in Europe. Then the moment when European countries like Belgium, Holland, or Germany, they were losing market, we were increasing the sale through the ceramic, and then put extra another 10-50% on turnover on this ceramics. So in Poland, we are quite well. We have the companies have no big problems. They are producing constantly. It's just a matter of changing the sources. And due to the fashion, due to the possibility of import stone, because that is changing all the time, because the fashion show the one time is the grayish color, another time we have bluish color and greenish. So it depends where the stones are from. We import them from there. And in general, Poland has 2 types of stone businesses. First type is a stone for interior, exterior cladding, like architecture stone. And then second is tombstone. The tombstone is quite stable in Poland. Still, this is not changing too much. Quite a lot of containers come to Poland. A lot of blocks are coming to Poland. I would say last 10 years, we bring in more and more blocks because of the quite big investment in facilities. That started, let's say, in 2005-07, when we joined the European Community. Poland has got some, let's say, they have the companies, they got some money from European Community, so they bought equipment, they bought the machinery. First of all, just the cutting machinery for the slabs. Then after they start buying the blocks processing machinery. And we have like very good equipment now, quite new, quite modern, and that's what's happening now. Regarding the COVID, truly saying, we never stopped production. When we in Poland, the COVID came like last year about March, they said there is a problem with that. And everybody were for about 1 month they stopped ordering the stuff because nobody knew what's going to happen. But after the month, we carry on because still Poland is a growing country. The properties are raising up. quite stable. The inflation we have quite stable. And let's say the government side, the taxes are quite stable. So we can plan the future. That's what is the most important for everyone in all over the world. If you have a chance to plan the future, you try to plan and you can prepare your investments or your movement towards the business. And recently, except the COVID, I would say this transport cost, that's the problem. We hope it's gonna get stable in maybe 6 months, because now is a little bit crazy. And the last thing I would say is related to COVID is the problem to go to the country to see the quarry, to see the slabs, to see everything, because as you know perfectly, every country has a different culture, and let's say something nice for one nationality is that, and the another one is nice for another nationality. So it's quite difficult. Normally, Polish guys are traveling quite a lot, and they used to inspect the stone inside the quarry or factory or producer, and that stopped to the COVID, as we know. But another case, we're quite optimistic, because we learn how to use the Zoom and all this equipment we normally never use. I wouldn't say we wasted, but we spend a lot of time to travel. Now we don't have to. We just go through Zoom and we discuss all the matters. And I would say that's all. If you have any specific question to me, with a pleasure, I will answer you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Duda. You touched upon very important points. I read the book, The Coming Century. It talks about 4 powers that will be very influential in the future, and one of them is Poland, it says.
Yes.
So the future of Poland is very significant. It has a very important role in the world. So within this perspective, there are 2 aspects. One is Warsaw, the fair, the exhibition in Warsaw. And we are planning common activities with İSTFAŞ and İzmir Fair. And we will be very honored to see our Polish colleagues here in the World Stone Summit, because you are very developed. You have great opportunities and facilities in terms of machinery and equipment. And you said that they're very developed, and they are. So how can we establish a dialogue between Turkey and Poland in that sense?
The case Poland and Turkey is going on in the stone, I would say, last 15 to over 20 years. I remember personally, I was in Turkey like 2001, 2, 3. I was there personally 5 times a year. We were bringing, Polish used to bring a lot of stone from Turkey. And then due to the Turkish, I think, situation national, something happened, we stopped. Because I was, traveling from Warsaw to Izmir and all over travertine, all over the blocks of marbles, dolomite, which was great from Turkey as well. So now, as you touched the fair, I am the coordinator of the Polish side of the fair in Warsaw, which Izmir Fair is related to. And, we're supposed to do this fair last autumn, and it didn't work out. I was pushing from my side, Stone Federation. I even went into the not B2B formula. I was offering very much to go to B2C, to architects, because B2B we have already in Poland and didn't work perfectly, because in this time of the world, everybody knows each other. But to do the presentation, the more important for Turkish stone is a Polish architect, which is Turkey has a lot of stones anyway, plenty of stones. So just to need to be again presented as 20 years ago, 15, we knew this very well. Any more question?
Mr. Duda, you talked about sandstones in India and also the red stones in Jaipur. They're very common, the red stones in Jaipur. How are you doing with India? How are your relations with India on such types of sandstone?
You asking me? So generally, the sandstone from India was very popular in Poland. Let's say 10 years ago, a lot. Because mind this, we have Poland is a lot sandstone full, but the Indian sandstone has a better quality with a little quartz and is much stronger. Is better for Polish weather, but still, marketing on Polish sandstone is so big. So really the sandstone from India don't come too much this moment because, now is this container problems and, this communication. Polish like to fly to India so much, as my colleague from India knows, the Polish are traveling to India to pick the block, especially the tombstone business is very, very big base on Indian stone, but not sandstone, the granite.
Rastogi, do you have any questions for Mr. Duda regarding your bilateral partnership between your countries?
Sure. I just like to invite Mr. Duda along with his colleagues and other industry people from Poland to come to Jaipur for the next edition of India Stone Mart, which is scheduled during 17th to 20th of February 2022. So invitation to all of you to please come and join us for India Stone Mart 11th edition here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. I hope we'll meet there.
Pardon?
I said thank you very much. Hope to meet there.
Yeah, sure. Looking forward. Thank you.
Mr. Rastogi, we don't need to wait until February. I think we should wait for August. In August, we should meet with you together with your sandstones because the world is getting smaller and smaller. We can meet each other and we will come to Warsaw also as the Turkish team. So I think we need to use time effectively, all of us.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
a Verona Fair coming. It's Verona Fair coming. Probably it's gonna be there. So maybe we can meet there, discuss personally.
Definitely. Looking forward.
Thank you. Me too.
And I invite you, both of you and your colleagues, to Izmir in August.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope in next 1 month's time everything will be fine. I am not very sure whether the flights are being operated between Turkey and India, but hopefully in near future everything will be fine and we will definitely meet.
Rastogi, did you watch the match last night, the final?
No, I'm sorry, but it was very late. I mean, it was the Indian time past midnight, so I missed that.
in Wimbledon, around 100,000 people were gathered in the hall, and there was no mask, there was no distance, social distance, and nobody
Very
said
true.
nothing. Very interesting things going on in the
True,
world.
true.
COVID has led to economic discussions, and now it's still going on. And Tokyo Olympics, in Tokyo Olympics, they're not accepting audience, but in England, Wimbledon, 100,000 of people are there watching the match, final match.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Duda, do you have anything to say about this?
What can I say? I mean, you can, whoever switch off television, start thinking, answer themselves. This is nothing to say, you know, you just, you know, follow the money.
Okay, if there are no other questions for Mr. Duda, I think we can go on with Mr. Bektaş. Do you need to share your screen? We're listening to you, Mr. Bektaş.
Our country started to feel this by the end of March. So as the sector at least 50% of our exports was to China. So we, on the other hand, felt this 3 months ago due to the lockdown in China. Can I continue? Okay, so we struggled to get through this process with the least damage by making a serious effort. In this process, to overcome this challenge, we had, of course, production plans. We made up the stagnation in 2020 to some extent by turning to exports of processed products. And we have diversified our products. Although we have sustained some damage, we were able to overcome. We were able to keep our manufacturing units busy. Since we could not make a physical organization as the Exporters Union, we carried out all our activities in online platforms during this period. In addition, between 24-26 November 2020, we went to Vietnam with a delegation with Urge Natural Stone Clusters. And again, between February 15 and 18, we have organized virtual sectoral natural stone trade delegations. We realized all the processes of the Amur Natural Stone Project Design Competition, which we held for the first time in 2020 to encourage the production of processed products, and received nearly 400 applications in the digital environment. And all of this competition, all the processes were held in the digital platforms. We think that this competition, which we will organize for the second time in 2021, and we plan to hold the final organization in the ancient city of Ephesus, which will attract more visitors and higher number of applications. The reason why we're holding this is to increase our visibility in the market. And another aspect is Ephesus is an antique city. It's a historical asset of our country, and our relation to this historical asset, to promote this and to how this land has a deep-rooted culture of natural stone, to show this to everyone. And during the pandemic process, we have benefited from many tax restructuring, debt restructuring made by the government. As you know, as a result of the initiatives of our union in March, we ensured that the mining sector was included in the scope of economic stability shield measures implemented by the Ministry of Treasury and Finance. On the other hand, we acted as a bridge between our members and Exim Bank regarding the request regarding the extension of the maturity of the loans secured from Exim Bank. And we signed a protocol with Exim Bank to delay the installments of these loans. So we actually tried to help mitigate some of the negative effects of the pandemic for our members. We feel the power of being one voice with other mining institutions and how we can overcome the problems and challenges collectively. In 2021, both our processed product exports and black marble exports are increasing. This is what the figures and the statistics tell us. And the reason behind this, I will shortly explain. We sell processed products to those who ask for it, and black marble to those who demand black marble. Turkey's rich color and pattern richness gives us a competitive advantage in the world markets. As Rastugi has mentioned about the varieties of stone and granite, of course our variety is not so wide, but we also have a rich variety of products that we can offer. Of course, there are serious challenges we had to face, as there was container problems and deliveries were delayed. And this also increased the freight prices. So therefore, we had serious challenges. Our profitability has decreased significantly because suppliers, because of this increasing freight prices, they actually asked for support from producers. We were able to withstand, but of course, this affected us. Our natural stone industry increased its exports by 35% to $85 million in the January-May period of 2021. And we are taking steps towards achieving a level of $2 million of exports. This is our goal. Our industry survived the pandemic crisis, as in every crisis, by acting with the slogan of producing despite all the difficulties. And I congratulate all our exporters in our sectors for these export figures achieved despite the increases in container and freight prices. In this pandemic period, it showed the world that if you switch all your manufacturing to Far East countries, which is very far away in a remote area, because of the pandemic, all the transportation of goods and people's pandemic is not staying in one corner of the world, it's spreading. So all this distance between the manufacturing places and consumption places, this should be shortened. The need for this became apparent. So this long distance between manufacturing centers and markets, because all the manufacturing was switched to Far East, because raw materials has to be transported, it has to travel a long distance, and then once it's manufactured, it has to be transported back to the market. So this is a long chain of transportation. So from debates and discussions and what we have drawn lessons from the experiences, this long chain of production has to be shortened. We can actually see this before the pandemic. The Middle East markets, Asia markets, which is actually in our vicinity, Russia and Hinterland and Europe and the United States, the processed natural stones, the orders and demand in it has increased. So this trend seems like it's going to continue, and our sector has started feeling this in Burdur, Sparta region, where my facilities are situated. New factories are developing, new investments are being made. So in block, our block production will continue to gradually rise, but at the same time processed manufacturing goods, exports will increase. That's my prediction. That's my estimation. So in the second half of 2020, with the increase of vaccination percentages, I think markets, this will have a positive effect on the markets. In between 25-28 August 2021, Izmir Marble Natural Stone and Technologies Fair and the 6th World Stone Congress Summit will be the golden year. If enough participation happens by stakeholders, we can actually make brainstorming, we can actually exchange opinions, and we can actually contribute to each other, both intellectually, mentally, and in other ways. And so we can actually change. As the natural fairs are an indispensable part of natural stone sector, as we all know. When we say natural stone, actually users, they have to touch, they want to feel natural stone before they purchase. So we believe that participants and buyers are invited from all over the world, from China to the UK, to Italy, to United Arab Emirates, to Bahrain. So purchasing delegations are being organized to attract buyers from these. And our other exporter unions from different regions in Turkey are also contributing to these efforts. And hopefully, both in terms of manufacturing and supplies, all the challenges and difficulties will be overcome. And hopefully humanity will not have to face challenges like the pandemic. Hopefully lessons will be drawn. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you, Mr. Bektaş, for this presentation. In block exports, especially to India, Turkey's exports, there's a significant increase from Turkey's exports to India, whereas our exports to Europe and US, there's an increase in processed products. So there's a shift from block to processed. So what is your take on this? How do you explain this shift? as I have mentioned, especially in the healthcare industry, countries that are making manufacturing with high industrial, in the pandemic, they staggered. They had problems with mask supply and also apparel for healthcare professionals. In advanced countries, there was a supply problem because they have shifted to more value added. They have shifted away from these because these goods were being shifted to Far East countries. So there has been a problem of transportation. Because transportation was disrupted, there was a supply chain problem in easily produced simple technology goods. So there was a supply problem. So certain supply chains has to be brought to closer geographies. So certain precautions, certain actions will be taken. This is the lesson drawn from the pandemic. So a similar trend is applicable to our sector. This, in the construction sector, we were not able to use the mask. We also had transportation problems, and as a result, there was a deflation in costs, and so therefore, in our sector, in the term ahead, so closer geographies. So in our sector, also people will prefer, companies will prefer suppliers in the closer vicinity. So I think investments, taking this into consideration, are right decisions. Investments for processed natural stone products are, I think, will be successful, because this was an area we were not very competitive. We gained a competitive advantage in the post-pandemic process. Thank you, Mr. Bektaş. Are there any questions from other speakers to Mr. Bektaş? Mr. Rastogi or Mr. Duda?
Yes, I have one question.
Evet.
How is the business Turkey with Iran? How is the business regarding the stone between Turkey and Iran? Iran has a lot of stones, a lot of quarries, massive quantity of colors, onyxes. How you do the business with them?
There are two problems that we have encountered. One is about in the post-pandemic, it was the effect of the pandemic. The other one was the embargo. There are sanctions imposed on Iran, and these sanctions have been increased. So prior to the sanctions, our natural stone trade with Iran was actually improving, but due to these sanctions, there were some disruptions to trade. It declined almost to zero level. So hopefully these wars and these sanctions will be lifted, this embargo will be lifted, and humankind will do trade activities unrestricted. I would like to make a few explanations about this, our trade with Iran. First of all, developments with Mr. Halajan. We had a webinar meeting with Mr. Halajan from Iran, and one of the largest participation, and Iran will come to Turkey with a large delegation to Marble Izmir, coming with a large delegation from Iran. And one of the fundamental reasons of this move is, as Mr. Bektaş has expressed, about logistics and communication problems. We will discuss. They want to actually overcome these logistic problems through Turkey. So hopefully this actually precursors of this have been already observed. One of the most promising natural stone trade relations is between Iran and Turkey. So if you come to Izmir, to the Marble Fair, Iran will be participating with a large delegation. It's in their agenda. So when we look at the variety of stones, as Mr. Halajan has expressed, there should only one fair per country per year, and we are going to further discuss under the World Stone Summit. When we get together, we will have a chance to discuss in detail with participation of also other countries, because we are together in this post-pandemic. We are all together on the same ship. We have to act together. We have to counter these threats together against artificial products, man-made products. We have to take joint steps. Mr. Duda, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to ask.
That's the case, because I'm looking Turkey as a kind of bridge between Iran and the rest of the Europe, because we have this experience.
Bir köprü vazifesi görüyor.
We are like a bridge for the Ukraine and Belarus and rest
Belarus ve Ukrayna ile mesela bir köprü görevi görüyoruz Avrupa. Aynısı için de Türkiye için söyleyebilirim. İran'la Avrupa'nın geri kalanı.
The Iranians are much cheaper in production. The cost of energy is very low there.
Oldukça enerji maliyeti düşük, üretim maliyetleri düşük.
Raise up with the prices, but still Turkey I believe can fit very well to make a bridge further, because still there is a lot of demand on the Iranian stone and Turkish stone, but people know the Iranian stone onyxes are well known. And the businesses are stopped. So I am looking forward to Turkey to organize the bridge for the rest of the Europe.
Organizasyon, yani bir köprü görevi vazifesi görmesini dört gözle bekliyorum.
Especially we must look the situation when the containers from India, China, Brazil race up, and the trucks from Turkey can go with much lower prices. Of course, it's high price, but to compare to the rest, the price for the truck to Poland, for example, or Germany, is not so high this moment if you compare to the transportation for containers. So it's worth to really push this case to the point when Turkey can become the bridge for the rest. Thanks.
There was a problem with the translation. Can you repeat the last part, sir? Mr. Duda?
Yes, I just said
some of the things you said I translated, but because I pressed the wrong button, the other speakers may not have heard. So if you could briefly reframe what you said.
No, I just said I would see the big opportunity for Turkey to become the bridge to the Poland, rest of the Europe from Iran, as well, to make a bigger offer, because we already experienced this as a bridge to Ukraine and Belarus. So I would see that quite important for Turkey to take this delegation to sit down and work it out the opportunity how you can operate, because you are much closer in border to the rest in Europe, and you know them very well. And for us, it's quite exotic.
Mr. Bektaş, would you like to make any contributions? I agree with Mr. Duda. Between Poland and Turkey, there will be trade activities like this increase in the future, near future, if political problems or obstacles have been removed. Both Turkey and Iran and Europe, Turkey will act as a bridge between these countries. If you look at the map, world map, you see that Turkey is quite indeed like a bridge. Of course, we are going to discuss all these and we're going to draw lessons, but there's one thing that requires our attention. In this globe, or Earth, we are seeking a sustainable mode of manufacturing, which is environment friendly. This is actually one of our most fundamental goals. So Mr. Rastogi has actually mentioned certain cooperations with the academia, the universities and factories, especially about slurry waste or other quarry wastes, marble, excess material for the recycling of these materials, because if we can actually make use of this, this is actually a raw material for other products. So if we can actually make progress in these areas, we should share this information and cooperate. We should keep the communication channels open between in this area so that we can share know-how and information. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bektaş. Mr. Mahsen Buturi, could you please turn on your camera and microphone?
Mr. Mohsen Buturi, you listened to us.
Where slurry is used, there is a lime factory.
Lime factory in Tunisia.
Limestone factory.
And waste is being used there, being utilized there. Also, within the city, there are some projects for coating the pavements in Tunisia. And we see that in Italy too. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Buturi. Do you need to share your screen, Mr. Buturi? We can't hear you, sir. Can you hear Mohsen Buturi? Mr. Mohsen Buturi, can you please attend the meeting tomorrow? Attend the webinar tomorrow. We will send you the link, and we will explain you how to connect. So maybe you can be with us at 5 o'clock tomorrow in the evening. At 5 o'clock in the evening. Would that be okay? Mr. Buturi, maybe you can write your answer from WhatsApp to Mr. Faruk, or he can call you. Or he can call you on WhatsApp if you like. You can write to Mr. Faruk on WhatsApp, or he can call you on WhatsApp again. And we can have you join tomorrow's webinar. Muhsin Baturi is not here, I think. He's not connected. So he's not online. So we're at the end of our webinar today. And I would like to ask for the last time, if you have any further remarks, please go ahead. But there is a problem with our Tunisian guest. We hope to have him tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We will invite him to tomorrow's webinar. If you have a further remark, please go ahead. Mr. Rastogi, would you like to add anything, or do you have any questions?
Nothing from my side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Duda, do you have any further remarks or questions?
Yes, I would like to wish you all good luck, and I wish you're going to be optimistic, because life is going fast, and the future is natural stone, no any another product. Thank you.
Muhsin Baturi is online now. Mr. Baturi, can you join us tomorrow? Tomorrow's maybe webinar at 5 o'clock. Can you join tomorrow's webinar at 5 o'clock? I will call you on WhatsApp and I will give you, provide you with the relevant information, okay? I will call you on WhatsApp, Mr. Baturi, and I can text you and give you the information. We will expect you for tomorrow's webinar. Okay, Mr. Baturi, Mr. Faruk will call you on WhatsApp, okay? He will call you on WhatsApp. He will give you a call on WhatsApp. Now I am closing the webinar. So it was a very fruitful discussion. At 5 o'clock tomorrow, we will have the US and Russia participation, and Muhsin Baturi will be invited too. I would like to see you at 5 o'clock with our last session. I would like to thank all the participants for their contributions. And we hope to meet again at 5 o'clock tomorrow, and also in August, 26th of August, in World Stone Summit. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
And regarding
Aynı çatı altında buluşmak için ortak bir amacımız var. Evrenin temelini oluşturan, dünyayı yaşanır kılan doğal taşın binlerce yıllık serüveninin bir parçası olmak. Bizi bir araya getiren doğaya ve doğal taşa olan bağlılığımız. Her biri tıpkı parmak izi gibi benzersiz ve çeşitli. Taşın yaşayan bir ruhu var, yıllara meydan okuyan. Ortak bir bağ ile bağlıyız, birleşiyoruz. World Stone Summit, doğal taşın değerini ve çeşitliliğini anlatmak için dünyayı bir araya getiriyor. Ortak bir hareketle doğal taşın başta mimaride olmak üzere yaşamın her alanında kullanımını arttırmak ve tanıtımını yapmak başlıca görevimiz. Taşa emek verenler, dünya çapında bir farkındalık yaratmak için 26 Ağustos'ta World Stone Summit'te buluşuyor.